Hello teacups, what's brewing? Welcome back to the channel. Pleasure to have you back. A little bit of an odd time for me to be filming. This is about 8:30 in the morning. I am sick again. I am sick again because God forbid it be more than 3 weeks without getting ill. But I came home last night and I felt like I was wading through mud. You know when you're that tired you can barely move? And I've been more and more tired as the week went on, and I figured that was just the week. You know, work week, I don't sleep that well. During the work week, I don't sleep enough, certainly. And I've been kind of burning the candle at both ends. And I was like, but why am I this tired? And I woke up, I went to bed at 6:40 p.m. last night and woke up at 5:30 this morning, congested and with a fever. So it's like, perfect, exactly what I wanted. So yes, here we are. Thank you for being here. If it's an odd time for you, I apologize. Hope everybody's staying safe. I know Florida is currently just being battered by storms. I'm trying to keep in touch with a friend of mine who lives there, so haven't heard back from her yet, but I understand power and internet and stuff is kind of out in a lot of places. But please, I hope you're staying safe. Let's talk a little bit about Chantal. Full disclosure, I don't have everything from her because she did a sushi stream. It was 6 hours long. 6 hours. No, thank you. I skipped through it, but come on now. Come on. So I'm just going to talk in broad strokes, as I tend to, about her week so far. I've got about a page and a half notes, so that's where we are right now. I've noticed just in attitude, she had this increased desperation when it came to money. It seemed quite obvious and it seemed to be getting quite urgent. She is currently live at this very moment with a stream called, I think it's Night Bees. But when I was catching up, the last stream she'd had was The Truth About the House, OMG. Which, not clickbait at all. Although she did talk about the house, so I suppose technically not clickbait. But the truth was that she had paid the first and last month's rent. She had finally sent the payment. We don't know how she sent it. So I don't know in terms of security what recall options she has if this ends up being not legit, which I still have suspicions of, but she sent it. She said that she had gone back and negotiated a price she was more comfortable with. We don't know exactly how much she initially was going to pay. She's used the term 5,000 for first and last. I was assuming 2,500. I've got a few thoughts about it because on one hand, it feels a little bit late in the day to be negotiating the price, but I suppose that is the advantage of not going through the letting agent. It's that you can go back and talk to them, but I still feel very suspect about this whole thing. I fear it still may be a scam. It's very late in the day to be negotiating price, especially to the extent where she'd go from being not sure to happy. And I could see it just being, yeah, no, we'll negotiate, just send us the money. Because in the whole stream of Truth About the House, oh my God, we didn't hear any evidence of any kind of more secure transaction taking place, any outside parties there to help facilitate those. So it is essentially just an agreement between people, and those can go wrong. So I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I hope she's not being scammed, but it still feels like it could be. And the fact that she's super excited and she's like, no, it's done. It's official because it's done. And I'm like, you have nothing official that we are aware of. We haven't seen any evidence of her signing a lease. She was talking about a lease at one point, but I don't know if she's signed one. And I get some red flags. I've got some red flags coming up and I'm worried. I'm worried about what this is going to lead to. But anyway, I got a little bit ahead of myself there because I was going to talk about that a little bit later, but there was lots of talk this week about other platforms, and that need for immediate cash was really becoming more obvious. She was very angry about people reporting her Patreon. I'm not sure how Patreon works exactly with it, but she did get kicked off Patreon once before. And so I don't know, because the way she passes information is not always a direct line, shall we say. I wasn't entirely sure. She was assuming that tons of people had reported her Patreon this time, which might have happened, knowing her community might have happened. But the way she phrased it, she said something about your account is associated with mass reporting, or the way she was talking about the conversation she'd had with the woman. It's entirely possible that because her account was mass reported last time, she now can't establish another account. And I'm not exactly sure which side of that she's on, or if it is a case of they gave her a new account and that one's been mass reported. I don't know. However, it is currently down. She has also been mentioning her OnlyFans again, and how, oh no, I've got these stories I have to tell you, and my OnlyFans has been reinstated in full now, because she was on that probation before, do you remember? Because she effed it up the first time. They had said, okay, no, you need to post some content first, so we can trust you're going to post content, and then we'll give you access to your account back in full. And apparently that has happened now. At some point in some rage, she mentioned it. But back to the Patreon, she did go on a rant recently about how she made practically no money from it, because the word scam has been thrown around a lot just recently, and she's a little hypersensitive to it. When I talk about scams with her housing, I think she is being scammed. I think she believes it's true. But when it comes to the services she offers to her Beezers that she gets them to pay for and then doesn't follow through on, she doesn't see those as scams because she intended to do it and then, oh, my mental health, you guys, I didn't do it. But if someone's paid for a service you're not providing, regardless of the reason, that's a scam. So she gets very caught up on the intent of it and not the result. And so she's like, no, I'm not scamming, how dare you, and gets super angry when actually, in actual fact, you kind of are. But she went on a rant about how she makes very little money. She had like 6 Beezers on there or something. So way to make those people feel special. The 10 people she has in chat that will follow her to platform to platform to platform and pay again and again and again, she insults at every turn. And then she is wondering why people don't feel appreciated, and that's been a conversation because she realizes that she needs the people to make the money, but she really likes to rant. So she's like, my loyal Beezers, you don't listen to this, but let me rant some more about how terrible the Beezers are. And like I said before, I don't understand paying for that privilege. Like, you can't just separate out. If she's ranting all the time, the people who are supporting you are going to feel underappreciated because they don't deserve that rant. And it's all very well saying, well, don't listen to it. That's the content you're putting out. So we end up with this juxtaposition of, no guys, I love you, I appreciate you, let me say hello to all of you, but also fuck you all and I'm blocking all of you, and if we have to go down to 3 Beezers, we will, and we will rebuild, which there's no way she will. She will not rebuild now. Her idea of that everyone is replaceable is really going to screw her over in the end. But there we go. That's where we are. But, you know, keep paying for the privilege to hear it. She gets her nails done, and I'm sorry, but they ain't it. Ooh, no, I don't like them at all. Everyone's personal tastes are different, but I just feel like with her nails, her basic attitude is more is more. And I think sometimes if she were to choose one colour or one pattern or one accent, she'd be okay, but she goes for 7. And I do not like how they look. Personal opinion. So I mentioned she did a 6-hour sushi stream. Like, no. But, you know, convince us again about how you have a full life beyond YouTube and you've got all these friends you're going to go see. She took Pete to see his mom at some point, or took the mom out to lunch or something like that. And she's like, you guys don't know how much I've got going on behind the scenes. And it's true, we're not with her all the time, but we're with her the majority of the time. And if you follow that statement up with a 6-hour stream, we're going to guess you don't have that much going on, or you're really, really working hard to avoid it. Given that she still hasn't cleaned her house, I'd say both of those are true at the moment, but, you know, never mind. But she was super happy that she transferred the rent. She checked her bank balance and said after rent and bill she's left with, and then she stopped herself and she asked the chat how much they think is reasonable once rent and bills are paid. And people start putting numbers out there, and she's like, oh, that much? You mean left to spend? Which is just further confirmation that she spends everything she has. Just she sees the money in her account once her necessities are paid for as, okay, so I can spend this much. It's not a challenge. You can save money. Someone does ask her about life savings and she goes, oh, not much. And I'm reading that as none whatsoever, because she's constantly broke. She's just constantly broke. And she goes to check her balance and she goes, yes, like it's a pleasant surprise. So, you know, clearly aware and in control of her money. If she had no idea how much was going to be in there and was then like, yes, I can still order things, it's not as bad as I thought. Like, you got to keep on top of your money, my dude. If you transferred that and there was a question of, oh, am I going to have enough? Which is where all this conversation about other platforms and wanting another injection of revenue real quick is coming from, then that should be an issue that you should be aware of. But as I say, she'll go to any length to avoid a conversation she doesn't want to have, and her finances, that has been an ongoing thing for a long time now. She did rage earlier this week at some point, saying what business is her money to us? I think she was in the car, maybe. But then when it's a topic that she brings up, she was about to read out how much money she had in her account, yeah? And when it's a topic you bring up, and we know that she hasn't paid taxes in about 3 years, and she showcases herself with this unsustainable lifestyle while trying to convince people to sign up for platforms that she's not going to follow through on to get more money quickly, I think it's fair game as a topic of discussion. She makes it an issue on her channel, and she may not sit there and say, please discuss my income, it's your business, which of course she wouldn't. But when so many things are connected to it and it's such a question over the choices she makes, yeah, I think it's fair game. She doesn't owe it to us, but it's unrealistic to expect it not to be a topic of discussion. She mentioned she was excited about the possibility of rent to own in the future, and I was like, wait, in the future? So it sounds, and again, this just could be the way she phrased it, and in the moment we don't always phrase things exactly the way we mean, so, you know, but the way she explained that and the way she said it then was that it had not been decided. So immediately I was like, what, in the future this hasn't been signed on? You just paid your first and last month rent, so everything should be decided on now. You should have signed contracts because you've just paid them. So what do you mean at some point in the future this could happen? Wouldn't this be an agreement in your lease to say, oh, you should you wish it, you can go on to this rent, you can be part of this rent to buy scheme, or it should have time limits of how long until she can make the decision. I know with rent to buy schemes in the UK, usually you have a set number of years where you're charged a percentage below the market rate for the rent, which gives you a chance to save up the deposit. But then at the end of that time period, you either have to make a choice to buy the house or you have to move out. And so that seems like something that would be in a contract. Like I said, she may just have misspoke or not explained it well. She's not known for really articulating her thoughts well, but it struck me as odd. At one point, she was unblocking people because when she rages, she blocks people, as we know. And she said, you know, she's touchy when it comes to Nada. And I'm like, really? No shit. I do find it, funny is the wrong word, but she said a lot recently that she doesn't mention him. And so when people come in and mention him, they are bringing it to channel. And as I said before, I've now been checking this because I was like, wait, does she really not mention him sometimes? But she's mentioned him in every stream I've checked. Sometimes to a lesser degree, sometimes to more, but she mentions him at the very least in every stream. So for her to then come up and be like, you bring him up, no. I don't know if she realizes she mentions him this much, but no. Another talking point this week, she is super mad at reactors. Oh, more so than usual about them using her content, which is nothing new, but her anger at FFG and the fashion show has kind of brought this all about again. I found the whole interaction a bit weird, but she wasn't mad about it until other people really got involved. And now that anger has become all reactors and the money that we're stealing from her when we react and use her content and blah, 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 blah. we've talked about the relationship between reactors and her channel and how everyone sort of keeps each other going before now, so I won't rehash it, but I think her view on the impact reactors have to her income is skewed. The fashion show people did remove all mention of her and the fashion show from their Instagram this week, and they asked Chantal to do the same. There was some discussion over whether that was because the brand had decided to do that, or whether there was a model in the show that also wrote that kids book, and she didn't like the fact that she was now being connected with the frankly heinous community that Chantal has, and all the stuff going on with that. And so Chantal couldn't leave the stuff up on her channel. It was requested she take it down. I actually kind of think it's a shame it ended this way, but it is connected entirely to the kind of community she has built and the consequences of her own actions. She builds and maintains her own reputation. For all there are a lot of people talking about her, she gives them fodder to talk about. So the only person who can change her is her, and we've gone about this before, but the brand itself is also culpable for not looking into who they were asking to represent their brand. They looked at, I think, the amount of subscribers they had and the reach she could have, and not the type of people she'd be reaching to and the negative impact that could bring. So they should have done a bit more due diligence in that regard, and they got burned for it. But I don't know, it kind of sucks in a way, because we go on at her to try something new, and then she tries something new, and this is how it ended up. And I was excited to see kind of new content from her, but at the same time, as I say, you build your own house in this regard, and her reputation is entirely of her own making. So she's coming after everybody to protect her own content, is how this all breaks down. And I'm sorry, but that is the epitome of an empty threat. She already admitted, was it this week or was it last week, that she didn't have the money to sue anyone. She was too broke to sue anyone. So there is literally nothing she's going to do. The whole point of striking someone on YouTube is to start a legal procedure. It's you telling YouTube, this is my content and I am going to take them to court. And then YouTube steps in and says, okay, your video has been struck and we're gonna hold it while the person begins those proceedings. And if they don't begin those proceedings, the claim gets released. So Chantal, if she gets to the point where she strikes anybody, is just going to end up embarrassing herself, because she's not going to follow up on it. She can't afford to. So everyone will just counterclaim and she'll rage about it again. But it's her own embarrassment. She's gone down this path before. She's too lazy to follow anything through, even if she could afford it. And right now, she cannot afford it. So what's the point of these threats? It doesn't make sense, but then when she's raging, a lot of things that are logical don't make sense to her. So it's just emotion. It's emotion with everything. And she could actually get herself in trouble here, because if she doesn't follow through with it, all she does with YouTube is get a reputation for false flagging, and this could really just turn back on her, I think. Speaking of stupid things, which I think I missed in my notes there, sorry, she went back on Omegle this week and was talking to someone who sounded very, very young. That's all I'm going to say on it, but Jesus Christ, how stupid do you have to be that was the one thing that got her channel banned for a while, and you're going to go back on it? Like, that's desperation for views right there. The live she's on now is called Night Bees, and she has a few points. I haven't finished watching it because it's still ongoing, but she's nervous about taking on 2 new cats, which I would be too. She did start the stream by apologizing for the state, the food bowl, and kind of the area that the cats eat in was a picture surfaced and it was just awful. And she was like, no, I hold my hands up, it was me. And I was like, well, if you can't take care of the 2 cats you have, how can you expect? If this somehow is not a scam and everything you've said comes to fruition, how can you expect to look after 2 new ones? I just don't understand it. She's got a lot of very unrealistic expectations about how much she's going to change when she gets into this new place. She also mentioned financial security, because money is an ongoing conversation on the channel, even though she likes to rage it isn't, and how she wants to be financially secure in the next 5 to 7 years. I think financial security is always a good goal to have. I think she has more than enough income that she could have made large steps towards this. And I think she is somewhat aware that that is an opportunity that's sort of slipping through her fingers a little bit as the YouTube career pays less as time goes on, and as she spends longer not paying her taxes and those penalties accrue. At some point, something is going to happen that forces her to deal with that, whether she admits it to the government or the government comes find her. At some point, something is going to happen with that. So 5 to 7 years seems quite long. I think she could probably sort herself out in a shorter amount of time, given that her income is very high. But we don't know everything behind the scenes, and she seems in a pretty bad state financially. She really needs to sit down with a financial advisor. And after that financial advisor has poured themselves a drink, needs to sort out literally, here are all my accounts, here are all my debts, and just get a full view of where she is. And that's what she works so hard to avoid, looking closely at her life. That's why she gets high all the time. It's just like, I've got to deal with these things and I don't want to. She needs to sit down and get an overview and be like, this is what I owe. This is the taxes I need to sort out. This is my income. This is my car. These are my loans. And just fully figure out, these are the minimums I have to pay. This is what I can afford to put towards it extra to do this in a shorter time. And this is how long it's going to take. But the longer she leaves these things, the worse they're going to get. And I'm sure I've said that before, but it's not something that goes away. It's just something that gets worse when it comes to finances. Other than that, there isn't a lot to say. Today is September 30th, which means technically Vlogtober starts tomorrow. She mentioned before that it's her favourite time of year. Remember, she wasn't going to go on that cruise with Carly and Josh because it was October and she wanted really great content for us guys. And again, little vlogs, 10-minute vlogs. She could have got her nails done and had that be a vlog, but no. So I'm not holding my breath because we have been disappointed before by Vlogtober content. She did say someone told her at some point she had 3 weeks left until payday, and she did her fake laugh cry when they said it, but she was like, oh, we have to budget Vlogtober into there as well. So she has some vague ideas, but she hasn't even sat down to say, oh, I'm planning this in that fake way she usually does. So we shall see, but I'm not holding my breath. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. I'm going to go finish watching this stream and probably have a cup of tea and take some more over-the-counter medicine and hopefully clear this cold out. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope everyone's staying safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.